And as we've stated on the show several times, we are not nerds. We are jocks.
Well, I don't know if I consider myself a jock, but definitely not a nerd.
No, big time jocks. We have big muscles. We're more of a Gaston than a LeFou, if you will. And a jock would make that reference. A jock in his 30s would reference a Disney villain to show that he is a jock. We then do have to sometimes be self-effacing and discuss the things that we do in those games that we say we don't play, but we do. A good example of that is, this movie is very spooky in like an eldritch sort of like beyond the veil, Bloodborne kind of way. And it's so Lovecraftian, and people are probably going to get just so tired of hearing that name and that phrase. But this is, for a very long time, this was the example of a movie that was kind of made like that. But I wrote a game. The people that I used to play D&D with, we wrote Alistair, Dylan, a friend of ours who we've mentioned, hopefully at one point will get on the show, Sam. But we kind of came up with this idea of let's all write an overarching story about this fictional place and all of the things like politically and, like with the people in there and the world it is set in, what's going on. There's a conflict, something's happening. And let's all write a big story, and then each of us will run a 3 to 4 session little game telling a different story of the day it all went down, the day like the coup happened, the day that the heroes defeat the evil people running this area. And everybody kind of picked their own thing to do, but I was this was right after the first time I'd been to Horror Nights. So horror was just on my mind and I couldn't get it off. And so
Ayo.
Oh no, I got it off.
Oh, okay.
But no, the soundtrack to that game was all music taken, like ambient music taken from HHN that year.
Yeah.
Like I found the songs and because they're all, royalty free, like metal songs at that period.
Or there's a group out there, the Midnight Syndicate, I believe is their names. They do music for HHN sometimes. And
I ripped a lot of that and kind of looped it. I put it in audio software and just looped it. So because for a combat in D&D, you don't want it to be a minute. You want it to be 30 minutes.
Right.
And so all of this prep work went into, and a lot of people when they play D&D like to use, like a laptop, and they make their own like detailed maps and images of things to reference or whatever. I don't really like doing that. I like when I write a game, I write it in a notebook. If there's something that needs to be seen, I will describe it to the best of my abilities. And I think that's just a more true to me way to play that game. So what I took upon myself was, what if they're outside of this town were an asylum, and that asylum and like then a surrounding area that people were kept in, inmates or the evil character in this, I don't remember his name, it's been so long, but the bad guy of this, they called them patients, and that he was a doctor.
Okay. And
the idea was that he had all of these, like pseudo-religious things that he would say about, this is why we're doing what we're doing. But he was just racist. He didn't like anything that wasn't a human. He didn't like elves. He didn't like halflings. He didn't like anything that wasn't human.
Was he down with the drow?
That is an answer that I'm simply not going to give. But no, because they're elves.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why.
Okay.
Yeah. And their crazy white hair. But he ultimately he built this place to be like a surgical laboratory that was very reminiscent of like concentration camps. And so I wrote this meter that I gave to everybody. I like mocked it up in Excel or whatever, and I printed it out and I gave everybody one, but it was a madness tracker. And I would have things happen to them because when they wrote their characters, I said, okay, I want you to give me your characters the closest person in their life. I want you to give me their greatest memory. I want you to give me their biggest fear and a phobia.
Okay.
And then I individually for each one of them wrote something that tickled that fear, tickled that phobia, showed that person they loved in distress, broke that memory for them. And when they would go through these horrible things or just witness something horrible, I had them roll on this table to see how much madness they contracted. And every time they would breach that madness, it would reset, but their character would develop a new flaw that would make it more difficult for them to go on.
That's cool.
And the whole thing was I tried very hard to do very Lovecraftian things. I wrote this section in the lab that was called just fertility. And God bless my brother's heart. I explain on the left-hand side, you see a building called cold storage. And on the right, there's a label on a flickering sign that just says fertility. And Alistair just goes, oh, fuck you. So in that, there were these, people of different races that had been like sort of xenomorph, like incubating what then burst out, which was, and I reskinned a monster, but it was basically an ooze, but made of flesh and infant limbs and eyes.
Disgusting.
And it would like crawl across the floor, and there was like a bunch of mouths screaming like babies. And it was just like at a certain point because I also demanded that we play that game in pitch black with lamps only. And I also demanded no music. So the only sound is I found like one of those 10-hour YouTube videos of thunderstorms
and babies screaming.
So I just had that playing, and there was a point because I think it was a 3-session game. There was a point each night where one person was like, "Okay, we need to take a fucking break. Like I gotta step away," and it makes me wonder because I like Lovecraft's work.
Yeah.
I like Eldritch stuff a lot. I love this movie, and I love stuff like that. I like coming up with that stuff. So the wonder that I have is that, am I crazy or is everyone else crazy? Thank you for joining us in the mouth of the Third Channel podcast,
where we delve into the horror franchises you love from the perspectives of a lifelong horror fan
and a newbie to the genre. I'm PJ.
And I'm Derek.
And today the only thing we're here to talk about is horror. And this horror is John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's very good.
Okay, guys. See you next week when we talk about Freddy Goes to College, a boner road trip comedy where Freddy Krueger, he
I'm
joins a frat.
surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised they never got to that point.
Well, yeah, they banked on the enormous cash cow of Freddy versus Jason, and they all just quit for some fucking reason.
Like, we made all the money.
Who cares about these guys? We're gonna focus more on things like, and then Ty right here cut in a bunch of like really shitty movies New Line Cinema did after Freddy versus Jason. Right, Derek?
Yeah, they're awful.
Yeah.
Except for that one.
That one's
a good
great. One. Whichever one. This movie's also New Line Cinema.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Everything's connected because New Line Cinema, John Carpenter, Halloween, Slasher, Freddy, Springwood Slasher, Freddy, House that Freddy built, New Lines. See, it's all this. This is such a bad joke, but I like it. It means a lot to me. This is one that our tables are turned on.
Yeah. This is an interesting one.
Because not only did I see this separate from you, but I think I saw this probably a while before you did.
Yeah. I only saw this one for the first time in March of 2024, it looks like.
Yeah, no, I would have seen this probably my freshman year of high school.
Nice.
A friend of mine had 3 DVDs. They owned 3 DVDs. One of them was Grindhouse.
Oh.
The other was Hot Fuzz, and then In the Mouth of Madness.
Wow.
And so we watched Hot Fuzz a million times.
Yeah.
Because I didn't fuck with horror shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you can handle In the Mouth of Madness. And I fell in love with it.
Nice.
I loved it. And not knowing that it was John Carpenter or really who that was, not knowing. I knew who Sam Neill was because of dinosaurs, but I didn't know, I didn't even realize that Sutter Cane was a play on Stephen King. I just didn't put that together. And then there are so many literary references in this to both Stephen King, and then obviously I think that we're gonna say his name to death, but so many Lovecraft references in this.
Yeah.
All the tentacles, the old
Love
women and the tentacles. But no, I loved this movie. This was a weird one of those moments. I grew up not sheltered. My parents were really cool. They let me do a lot. But they were leery of the media I consumed beyond a certain point. So like, you like rock? Great. Oh, you like metal? Great. You like Slipknot? Ugh. We've seen a lot of those lyrics and like, people at, the office or church or whatever who talked about it. That's the kind of line that would get drawn. So I remember telling my dad about this movie and being like, oh, it's so fucking cool. Like, there are like all of reality is just a lie. And there is this thin veil that protects us from the dark existential horror that lives just outside of it. And he was just like, let's not focus up on that too much. It's like as close as I could have been to being called like a heretic in that moment.
Or do you think it's the opposite? Do you think he knows?
Oh, is he gatekeeping?
Yeah. And he's like, oh, no, don't get too close to the edge.
That's Sutter J.
Yeah. Do you read Sutter J?
I don't.
That's good.
And I don't like him.
No.
This person that you and I made up right now for a bit.
Right.
Don't like him. If he had a Sutter J, obviously.
The lowest of hanging fruit.
No, the lowest of hanging fruit would have been if you had stuttered the lowest of hanging fruit. That would have been. Yeah. And I could have done it then.
Yeah.
Guys, leave us a comment stuttering the lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah, or write us better jokes. No, this is one where this was one that like I've always heard about it as a John Carpenter fan, of course, but I had just never gotten around to watching it. I think it just wasn't available to me. I had never like purchased it myself.
Sure.
And so it's one that I believe I finally saw because Shout Factory was doing a sale. They always have sales for different reasons, but one sale that comes back around every year is they do a like John Carpenter, like his birthday sale.
Okay.
And they put all of his stuff because they've done the majority of his films. They've done Shout Factory versions of them on DVD, Blu-ray, or 4K.
Yeah.
And so I just went crazy one year and bought like every title of his that I possibly could. And so then whenever I had them over your house, you were very excited about this one. And so it was like, okay, let's sit down and I can finally see it.
And it's funny because this one, I think, because we've had the conversation of movies that I've seen without you or even before you, but this one was like a genuine surprise of yours where you were like, you know what this is?
Yes.
What's funny is that, I'm jealous of the version that you probably saw this movie on first. I saw this movie on a DVD, but what was like a whatever that company is that make blank DVDs. That was like a somebody popped it in and transferred a TV recorded VHS. Jesus. It was just somebody in that house loved that movie and it just from hand to hand to hand. And then my friend saw it and was like, oh, I love this and kept it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. In the most bizarre turn of events, that's how I saw this.
That's fascinating.
I think there were even commercials.
Oh, see,
like, I think it was cable.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, one of them was for Camel cigarettes. You like spooky movies? You'll love dying of tar in your lungs. Camel cigarettes.
Smoke up, kid. But also this is a weird one that I hadn't seen because it is like the things that I love in a movie.
Mhm.
It's so many of them. Because and we seem to have this habit on this show so far is we watch a good amount of like meta horror, which is one of my favorite things in the world is like meta film or meta anything, honestly, like things that break the fourth wall, things that are about the things that they are talking about in the first place. I love that.
You like a movie that says the title of the movie in the film.
I do love that.
Like when he's like a Red Dawn or whatever. You love it.
Yeah. But so this one being that of like truly kind of like tearing back the page, if you will, and stepping through it into like but using that thematically as well, because it's like you said, it's about these ancient ones that are living just past the veil, just outside of our like universe that we can think or understand.
Yeah.
And they're just out there. And then this one is like, no, but like literally, we're just going to like and tear the page and walk through.
Something, and I love the sort of Lovecraftian element of the not understandable, the things that live outside of our comprehension that would break your brain. But I listened to this guy talk about, he was talking about the story that this is based off of and a lot of other Lovecraft work. And something that he talked about, and I found it so interesting, was that Lovecraft and the version of madness that he always portrayed was never like, the Call of Cthulhu games and the sort of Cthulhu-ness of Lovecraft's work being the thing that stands above the rest. It's always kind of viewed as like, oh, if you see Cthulhu, just seeing it makes you go crazy. Or like, you're viewing Pickman's art gallery and the paintings make you go crazy because you can't comprehend it. So your brain fractures and breaks. But the guy that was talking was like, the way I have always perceived it, and I think the way that a lot of people that are more scholarly about his work perceive it, isn't that it is not comprehending it. It is knowing that you can't comprehend it, the revelation that there is something beyond your comprehension, and that meaning that every single part of your life to that point, any amount of future you might have, and then any amount of future for the entire human race, the earth that you live on, every real fact you've ever thought was real is wrong. It's all fake. Because if something like Cthulhu can blot the horizon and walk out of the ocean and command its legions of monsters and warp the very fabric of the people around you, then how were they people?
Yeah.
And so it just, you implode with existentialism and with fear. And I just think that is so brilliant. And so as I watched that video, because that was unrelated to this, this was this viewing. I knew we were watching it. It was one of those things that I just stumbled into. But then watching this movie with that in mind, it was like, oh, wow. I don't know if Sam Neill meant to do that in this performance, but that's all this performance is a man finding out that there is something beyond the pale, beyond his ability to ever reconcile, and then being like, man, fuck it. It's just like, it's so good.
Yeah.
He is the best part of this.
Yes.
And this movie has this movie has Charlton Heston in it. But Charlton Heston isn't, bare knuckle boxing, orangutan. So who really does care?
Yeah. You barely even, clock that he's there at all.
No.
Because there's not an ape in the room that he's screaming at.
Right. No, there's like a gibbous monkey and he punches it a couple times, but
I think that was unrelated. But yes, Sam Neill does carry kind of a lot of this movie on his back. It is a bit of a two-hander for like half of the movie. You've got your two leads, but like he's just phenomenal.
She is my least favorite part of this movie.
We've talked, I mean, obviously this is a love letter to H.P. Lovecraft, his work, and then to the writings of Stephen King. Stephen King gets a couple name drops in this movie. the way that Sutter Cane's, Sutter Cane, the name itself, but then the way that his book covers look, they are very Stephen King to me. Do you read horror, or do you read either of those authors?
So I have read horror. I have never read Stephen King.
Okay, funny.
Ever. I've never picked up a Stephen King book. And it's not because you'll hear a lot of people say like, oh, I don't read Stephen King. It's like, I had a conversation about our show and it was like, oh, have you guys talked about it? And I was like, no, not yet. Are you going to at some point? Probably, but not the TV movie with Tim Curry, but just the new movies. Well, we'll talk about them at some point. But he was like, have you ever read it? And I haven't, not because, and he agreed, well, I've never read it. But he said, I've never read it because, I'm just way too scared of it. That wasn't the reason. It just didn't catch my interest.
Yeah.
If I was reading anything, I was reading Shakespeare and other smart things,
Yeah, I guess. Okay, but like, have you read Lovecraft then?
Yeah. I have read probably 5 or 6 of his short stories. My favorite, and I think I've mentioned it on the show before, and if I haven't, it's a damn shame. But my favorite of his is the Pickman's Gallery.
Yeah, you definitely brought that up with,
I think because
with
again,
Trick or Treat.
Yeah. Love that story. I love the Dunwich Horror is great. Which is funny because both of those are referenced in Fallout. In Fallout 4, both of them have their own little side quest, which is fun for somebody who likes those. What's funny is that as homework for this, I was going to read At the Mountain of Madness and just didn't get a chance to.
Right.
But what I did read is very interesting. It's I only read 2 pages, but it's really interesting because, in his way of sort of descriptive dialogue and kind of dreary bleakness, he describes a lot about drilling equipment and its width and the power and how it would be transported. Dog sleds.
That's important
because it's in the Arctic. So really good stuff. I know you are a ginormous Stephen King fan.
Yes. So that's kind of where we are the opposite there. I've read a few Lovecraft stories. At the Mountains of Madness, I've read, and I think there's a couple other short stories in that copy that I have, and just a few shorts here and there. But I've never touched any of the Cthulhu, any of that, the Necronomicon, any of that realm of stuff that he wrote.
You shouldn't touch the Necronomicon.
Yeah, I'm aware. But I'll get around to it eventually, I'm sure.
Well, no, we have a whole series in this show where we talk about why that is a terrible idea.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm not saying right in this moment. I'm saying eventually we'll get there.
Because you'll have a bunch of furniture that laughs and you'll do a dance with a lamp.
Yeah.
That's the best part of that.
Yeah, that's what I'm missing in my life, is a lamp that'll dance with me. But Stephen King, yes, I have read a lot of his work. I collect Stephen King. That's something, if we haven't really talked about on this show, you and I are both collectors of things.
Oh yeah, big time.
But Stephen King books, especially hardcovers, I have a huge amount of at this point.
Yeah.
I find them used most of the time, and then every time he comes out with a new one every year, then I try and pick that one up or ask for it for Christmas. But yes, speaking of, that is one where it was one of the longest books that I've ever read. It took me a long time to get through. I put it down about halfway, probably sat for 6 months, and then I picked it back up and then just continued on. Like, I burned through the rest of it.
Where did you put it down? Whereabouts did you put it down?
Like next to my bed.
Oh my God. That's, first of all, that's hilarious. The joke I was setting you up for is I stopped reading after the kid orgy.
No, because that's like toward the end, as far as I remember.
Oh.
Yeah. Because it's set up a little differently than the it doesn't matter.
We'll get there.
We'll get there eventually.
In 2029.
But yes, it is a phenomenal read. It also kind of deals with some of these themes of like these ancient evil, and there's a bunch of weirdness in that book.
I read this comment the other day about Stephen King, and what's funny is it does relate to this, because I wouldn't bring this up if it veered us off only into Stephen King Itland. But I was watching this video, and it was like, who wins in a fight, all those bullshit speculative things. but it was talking about the kids from Stranger Things versus Pennywise. And one of the comments was like, well, none of those kids have the fucking Shining. So all of them die.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I don't know what the Shining is.
Okay, yeah, as a concept.
Yeah, I have no idea what that means.
Yeah.
I thought The Shining was a movie about a hotel. So I have no idea. And so in this story, it's like when you see him drawing in his cell,
Mhm.
all the crosses and stuff, and it's like, does God help you? What if, like, okay, who wins in a fight, Constantine or Pennywise?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the question.
Yeah.
That's what we're here to talk about
Oh,
today.
that's okay. So that's
Constantine or
the new
Pennywise?
question.
Yeah.
But no, I loved it. I think if I were to just throw them out there, one, you should read Salem's Lot.
Mm-hmm.
I love that story. I've read it a couple times. It's one that like he does a really good job of setting up the town and the people who live there before any of the weirdness really happens.
Is that in Maine?
Yeah, most of his stuff
Mhm.
happens in Maine. He's got a few books that happen here in Florida because Stephen King has a summer home down in Sarasota. But yeah, mostly Maine, which is, and I'll go through that with some of my notes of like, you know, Hobbs End and what that kind of is a reference to.
What if that's how we found out that you were a neighbor of Stephen King while you were in college?
It'd be amazing.
Well, he had a summer home in Sarasota, and I used to visit him.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah, we just hang out.
I've known you for 10 years. How come you didn't mention that once?
It didn't seem important. You didn't like horror or books.
Well, I still don't like books. In the Mouth of Madness, lived any good books lately?
Mm.
An insurance investigator visits a small town while looking into the strange disappearance of a popular horror novelist. He soon finds that the impact of the author's books is far more than inspirational.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I hate that tagline.
Yeah.
Because it's not read any good books lately. That's not the thing from the movie. It's do you read Sutter Cane?
Yeah. I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, other than like, that's not a name in the real world.
Yeah.
And so
I guess the other thing that bothers me, by the way, right before we move away fully from Stephen King, is they mention Stephen King in this by name. They bring him up. So then why do the fake Sutter Cane thing? Sutter Cane is a play on Stephen King. But if you have them both and you're talking about both of them, that would be like if, you know, you make a movie about the fashion world and you have like Dana Wintour. And it's like, okay, well, that's obviously Anna Wintour. And then you're like, well, Dana Wintour's no Anna Wintour. It's like, well, then why do the wordplay?
Yeah. Yeah. I see what you mean. It is a little weird. And it's one of those like John Carpenter is a friend of Stephen King because John Carpenter did his adaptation of Christine, which is a Stephen King novel. There's been other times where they've, I think, nearly worked on things together.
They both hate Kubrick, so it brings them closer together.
Yeah, definitely that. But yeah, so I think it's just they wanted to kind of give that little wink and a nod without just doing Stephen King or whatever. But
that's fair.
And I think it was also, it's like this kind of, it's like if you were making a movie and you were gonna mention your friend, because the first time he's mentioned in the movie, she says something along the lines of just like, oh, he outsells King all the time. And it's just that slight dig of just like, yeah, we know you're like the greatest, most highest selling author of all time.
Which is why we're really happy to announce that in next week's episode, when we talk about Prince of Darkness, we're going to have Ballister Japes. He's so much more handsome than Alistair is.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely going to happen. In the Mouth of Madness was released in Italy in December of 1994, and then in the U.S. in February of 1995. I don't particularly know why. It's directed by John Carpenter. It's written by Michael DeLuca, and it's produced by Sandy King. The cinematographer is Gary B. Kibb, who also is the DP for Prince of Darkness, They Live, RoboCop 3, Double Dragon, Village of the Damned, Escape from LA, Vampires, and Ghost of Mars. So like the back half of John Carpenter's filmography. The editor is Edward A. Warshilka, who was the editor on Big Trouble Little China, The Running Man from 1987, which is a Stephen King adaptation. Child's Play 3, Body Bags, which was an anthology film, Village of the Damned, Escape from LA, Vampires, and then 13 Ghosts in 2001.
Okay.
The budget for this film, we don't have anything else to base it off of. It is $8 million, and it brought in a box office of $8.9 million.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, not a huge hit.
Oh, no.
This is definitely one where kind of like Trick or Treat. It is like, it has a cult following.
Yeah.
And it has gained that over the years. John Carpenter, we've obviously talked about plenty of times before for Halloween. We will soon be talking about him again for Prince of Darkness and then The Thing. Those make up what are kind of called his Apocalypse trilogy. And then next year you can kind of there's other things of his that we'll be covering. The Fog is definitely one that we want to cover soon.
Yeah.
Christine, obviously we've mentioned that several times through the last few episodes.
Yeah.
And then probably like Village of the Damned kind of fits in a weird way. But John Carpenter is one of our favorite directors, and so we want to cover all his stuff.
Yeah.
The writer, Michael DeLuca, we have talked about before. He wrote 7 episodes of Freddy's Nightmares, and he also wrote Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. He wrote the 1995 Judge Dredd. He is the former president of New Line Cinema and former head of production of DreamWorks.
Oh.
Yeah. The producer...
He made Shrek.
Yeah, I don't know what years he was head of DreamWorks, but let's assume he made Shrek.
Or at least he's been around for a Shrek.
Yeah. Who hasn't been around for a Shrek?
There's got to be an obvious joke there, but I can't think of it.
Yeah, it's late. Producer Sandy King was the producer on Body Bags in 1993, Village of the Damned, Vampires, Ghost of Mars, the sequel, Vampires Los Muertos, which went straight to video, and then a 2021 horror film called The Manor, and also the producer on Suburban Screams, which is a show that is produced by John Carpenter, and then will also be the producer on John Carpenter Presents. But they've been married to John Carpenter since 1990. So
okay.
That's why. And then our music composers here are John Carpenter with Jim Lang, who also worked on the music for Body Bags. And then Jim Lang also did the music for all 5 seasons and the movie and the Jungle movie of Hey Arnold.
What? What? I don't understand what happened. Okay.
Weren't expecting that one.
Football head.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Da-na-na-na-na-na-na.
Yeah, no, I love Hey Arnold. It's just, I don't know. That would be like, yeah. And then this, the guy who did all the music for the Human Centipede movies also did music for a little something called Jimmy Neutron. It's
Yeah.
like, well, what?
Michael DeLuca, he wrote the script in the late 80s. And one of the first directors that they offered it to was John Carpenter, but he passed on the project originally. But then New Line Cinema later approached. They announced that their production was going to start in 1989 with director Tony Randall, who was the director for Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. And then later, Mary Lambert, who was the director of Pet Sematary. That did not happen, obviously. Eventually, John Carpenter did sign on as the director in December of 1992, and filming took place in 1993 from August to October.
I just wonder how, because I don't know who either of those other people are, except for by their work, being that this is a movie you've heard of, and that's who this person is.
Yeah.
But how the movie not doing financially well at all, but having John's name attached to it is just surprising.
Yeah, that's true.
Early 90s. I mean, especially considering, both decades, he made some of the most famous horror movies of all time. Some of the most successful,
But I think a lot of his movies are kind of weird and out there. And this one, especially.
Yeah. I would say that this and Prince of Darkness are the 2 strangest horror movies that he made. Like by quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, that aren't, because they're more original stuff. They're not like adaptations of things that I'm aware of.
Right, but even because The Thing is an adaptation, but it is so far removed from its source material.
Right.
But it's still
well, it's far removed from the source material if you're saying the original film.
Yeah, that's
but
what
it's
I mean.
closer to the book.
Yeah, it being a film.
Yeah.
The thing that I keep saying the thing. That's always going to be a for me. But this is probably the headiest stuff that he did.
Oh yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's the way I look at, directors, or I look at, this movie's coming. It's weapons, right? Zach Cregger made this movie. He made Barbarians, but I knew his name because of Barbarians. I was like, well, I'm going to see this no matter what.
Yeah.
It's like ride or die, baby. If John Carpenter right now made a movie that was about a monkey whacking somebody else in the neck with a piece of like rebar, I'd watch that movie because it's John Carpenter. Although that's not fair, because I'd also watch that movie because that sounds awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I saw this trailer over the weekend for this movie called Primate that comes out in January.
Is it about a monkey whacking somebody in the neck?
I think you're going to be very excited for that one.
I've never been happier, guys. Oh, is it fucking the monkey?
No.
With fucking the Oz Perkins?
No. But you should watch that. That's a fun movie.
So there's another monkey movie?
There's another monkey movie.
This world. Fucking Hollywood.
Stay out of here, you damn dirty apes.
Oh,
see?
Okay. Good job, man.
The town scenes in Hobbs End were filmed on Main Street, Unionville, and the exterior of the Black Church was actually called the Cathedral of Transfiguration. Both of those locations are in Markham, Ontario, and then the rest of the film was shot on location in Toronto due to its unique mix of like kind of New York skyscrapers, New England remoteness, which were the things that John Carpenter was kind of looking for there. I love the locations in this film when we get there. The effects were done, the visual effects for the film were done by ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, and the practical effects, including all of the creature prosthetics and animatronics, were done by K&B EFX Group, who we've talked about because they did work on Evil Dead 2, Halloween 5, Nightmare 5, and Army of Darkness. It took about 7 weeks for K&B to create all of the practical effects for the film, the biggest of which was an 18-foot, what they call a wall of monsters, that was mounted on like a rolling device and then operated of like 25 people to roll it down that hallway for the big scene. To quote Carpenter, "It was tough. The monsters had to be outrageous Lovecraftian demons, but in H.P. Lovecraft's novels, they are always so horrible that they are beyond description, that they are too terrifying to see. So how do you visualize something like that? Well, very, very quickly, they also had to be slightly cartoonish, since Sam Neill spends most of the movie ridiculing horror only to discover it's all too real." Which kind of encapsulates the whole thought of this movie.
Yeah. I like the monsters and doing it that way where it's not a bunch of people in suits, but you have made this giant mass of special effect work that you have a bunch of puppet rods in that look like a bunch of things, but it's one wheelable object. Yeah. That's why K&B makes the big buck. That's what B in K&B stands for, is bucks.
That's true. The influences for In the Mouth of Madness, it obviously pays tribute to the work of seminal horror writer H.P. Lovecraft. Many references to his stories, his themes, we've already kind of touched on. The title is a play on his novella At the Mountains of Madness. And then insanity plays a great role in the film as well as most of Lovecraft's fiction. The opening scene depicting Trent's confinement in an asylum, and then the bulk of the story told in flashback is also a common technique with Lovecraft's stories. References are made to Lovecraftian settings and details. We mentioned it, I think, in passing, but yeah, there's a, they go to the Pickman Hotel. So Pickman. Sutter Cane's novels have similar titles to H.P. Lovecraft stories. So The Whisperer of the Dark is like The Whisperer in Darkness. The Thing in the Basement becomes The Thing on the Doorstep. Haunter Out of Time for The Haunter of the Dark. The Shadow Out of Time. And then the Hobbs End horror instead of the Dunwich horror. And that also references Hobbs End, the underground, like the British underground station, like the train, from Nigel Neal's Quatermass and The Pit, which we've mentioned before because Nigel Neal did uncredited writing on Halloween 3.
Oh, okay.
The film also can be seen as referencing Stephen King, who he obviously writes horror fiction set in New England. Stephen King's short story Crouch End was published in 1980 in an anthology called New Tales of the Cthulhu Mythos. a reworked version was released later in Stephen King's anthology from 1993 called Nightmares and Dreamscapes. But the story is Crouch End features a man and a woman visiting a English suburb called Crouch End, where they become stranded and are unable to leave. They are then taunted, tormented, and chased by a pair of deformed, otherworldly children who later summon a Lovecraftian old god. So a lot of the aspects there of King's short story Crouch End kind of have a resemblance to this film, especially its town of Hobbs End. But I just think it all kind of plays into like, yeah, that's what we're getting at.
The entire description you just gave of that short story sounds like an episode of The Twilight Zone.
Yes.
Yeah.
This gives big Twilight Zone, which is another reason why I think I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it feels like a big budget version of like a stopover in Willoughby, or that's the one that jumps to mind for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's, I don't remember the name of the episode, but Billy, the kid who has to be made happy,
yes.
Otherwise he does terrible and turns people into horrible things.
Sends them into the cornfield.
Yeah.
It's not called It's a Wonderful Life, but it's something like that.
It's a Wonderful Knife. It's got what's his name?
Justin Long. Yeah. The music, you have made this comment every time we've watched it. The film's main theme, heard during the opening credits and over the closing credits, was inspired by the Metallica song Enter Sandman.
Yeah, I don't like this at all.
Mm-hmm.
I comment on this every time we watch this. It bothers the fuck out of me. It is like you just pay for the fucking license and use Enter Sandman.
And that's it. They originally wanted to use it, but were unable to secure the rights. So he composed his own like theme with the help of Jim Lang and guitarist Dave Davies of the Kinks. Dave Davies then is the father of Daniel Davies, who worked with John Carpenter and Cody Carpenter for Halloween H40, Kills and Ends.
Because if Enter Sandman is like ba ba na na, this is like ba 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 ba, and it is every note is the same. It's just moved around like within 1 degree of each other, and it's just like, God damn it! It's so because it's not frustrating because I don't like them having done this. That's fine. There had to have been an answer, and I was 90% sure that this is what it was, that they just couldn't get it but wanted it. But like, you had to change it more because it frustrates my brain. It's like, I know you have this song that you love that is a parody, and it's a mixing of the song, the Ghostbusters theme song.
Right.
And it's just called Busted.
Mm-hmm.
And they have changed the melody of the Ghostbusters theme through that to be wrong. And it is like a mental itch. It is bizarre.
Yeah. One, I love Bustin'. It makes me feel good.
Okay. I'm afraid of no bid.
but I almost like that they had to make this version of that because it almost plays thematically with what they're doing with, like, yeah, we're talking about H.P. Lovecraft, we're talking about Stephen King, we're talking about these sorts of writers.
But in this world.
Just off, a little bit.
What's funny is the first thing I could think of when I was trying to think of a different name for H.P. Lovecraft, because Sutter Cane, Stephen King. So I was like, well, what would you use for H.P. Lovecraft? All I could think of was B.J. Novak for some fucking reason.
It didn't make any difference. See, in my business, you soon find out that anybody's capable of anything. If you can think of it, they've done it.
Doesn't leave you much to believe in.
Yeah, but think of the upside. At least it doesn't leave you too much to be disappointed in either. Believe me, the sooner we're off the planet, the better.
Now you sound like Cain.
No, not me. You're the Cain lover.
I just like being scared. Cain's work scares me.
What's to be scared about? It's not like it's real or anything.
Well, it's not real from your point of view, and right now reality shares your point of view. What scares me about Cain's work is what might happen if reality shared his point of view.
Whoa, we're not talking about reality here. We're talking about fiction. It's different, you know?
A reality is just what we tell each other it is. Sane and insane could easily switch places if the insane were to become the majority. You would find yourself locked in a padded cell, wondering what happened to the world.
No, and it wouldn't happen to me.
Well, it would if you realized everything you ever knew was gone. I'd be pretty lonely being the last one left.
kind of plays with what I was talking about that guy's description, where it's what if if everything you'd ever known was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the idea of that. Gone in a flash, gone without actually being gone. It's the idea of the Matrix.
Yeah.
I assume I've never seen those movies, but
What? You haven't seen that?
I'm dead. Fuck. It's what now? The whole thing's fake.
What are next? Yeah.
Yeah. Something I love about this movie so much is that any other movie, if it were written by a weaker man, if it were written by a coward, this character would have been a detective. And he would have been like a grizzled detective who smoked cigarettes. And he would have had he wouldn't have been played by Sam Neill. He would have been played by somebody gruff and with 5 o'clock shadow, whose wife was like, I'm leaving you and taking the kids. He's like, I don't care. I only care about the job. But that noise, that was meth. But he's he's not that character at all. He's kind of snarky, but he doesn't really do one-liners. He's just this cynical dickhead. And he's an insurance investigator.
Yeah. That's a good point, though. Yeah. Anybody else would handle this with that sort of.
They would up his ante. They would. It would be rule of cool. Yeah. And Sam Neill plays the character just fine. He's a plenty cool guy. He seems friendly. People like him. He's charming. But he doesn't live this, at one point you go to his apartment and it's just a regular fucking, I have lived in places that big, and he's got his clothes are fine for the period, the late 80s, early 90s. His clothes are fine for the period, but he doesn't look super wealthy. He drives a town car. He's just an insurance investigator.
Yeah.
And I also love in the clip that we played, he has that speech of I've seen it all. If you can think of it, I've seen someone do it. And it's but he's talking about the lens of insurance fraud.
Yeah.
And I love this so much. Because we open with what would in a Tom Cruise movie, it's the interrogation scene, but he's just tricking someone into maybe giving too much away. God, I love this sequence. The way we open this and kind of meet him, I think is great.
Yeah, well, and with what I love about the clip that we just played is kind of how she sets up what we then are witnessing in the movie.
Right.
Because it's him ending up in a padded cell and then also being the last one left.
Yeah. It is such a juxtaposition of it is such a juxtaposition of seeing. Is there a name for this asylum? There has to be.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's ever given. I don't think there's a a sign on the outside or anything like that.
No.
Because I was scanning for it in my last rewatch.
Yeah. Okay. The way the film opens is we meet him he's not in a great place.
No.
He's
being dragged into.
He's being dragged into a padded cell. Which is funny because if you accidentally skip the opening scene, if scene select, if you would accidentally skipped and it was just the scene where he's interrogating the guy, you'd be like, oh, okay. And then you'd be really surprised. But because they start the movie with him getting thrown into a padded cell, from the beginning, you're like, well, what if this is real? What is happening?
Yes. It becomes that. It becomes the question of, okay, well, what does he do to eventually end up in here? Which is funny because now with Trick or Treat, this is another one where it's we're kind of jumping around in time a little bit in the way that stories are being told. But John Trent is played by Sam Neill. He hasn't done a ton of horror, but this won't be the last time we talk about him.
No, we'll eventually talk about Jurassic Park.
Yeah, eventually. He was in Omen 3, The Final Conflict, which he is phenomenal in.
Again, a movie he just takes the fucking reins and rides the horse through. He's so good in that movie.
So good. He is in the 1981 horror film Possession. He was in Dead Calm in 89. He's in Memoirs of an Invisible Man, which is a John Carpenter film, which is I'm sure why he got this one.
Is he in that? That's surprising.
I think it's a smaller role, but that's a Carpenter I haven't watched yet.
You know who's in that? Fletch.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fletch lives.
That's a good joke.
Thank you. And then, we've mentioned it before, but most famously, the thing that I know and love Sam Neill from is Jurassic Park, the movie that changed my life forever.
So here's something that I know him from. And realizing that it was Sam Neill broke me a little bit mentally. There is a show called Peaky Blinders.
Right.
And Sam Neill is a Kiwi. He's from New Zealand. And so I'm watching the show, and the first episode sets up your protagonist, your antagonist. It's a crime show, so your antagonist is a cop. And he is this stern, take no shit police detective from Belfast, Ireland. And so he has that really like sort of Liam Neeson, that sort of Irish accent, but it's so much thicker and it's a perfect accent. And obviously Sam Neill is older, but he's got like this facial hair and this gray hair, and he's in this period costume. And I'm like, where the fuck have I seen this guy before? What Irish actor would I? Oh my God, that's Sam Neill. He is in the first season of that show. It may be the first and the second, but I think he's just in the first. Spoiler for Peaky Blinders, he dies.
What?
But his performance in that is Jesus. I think I might be in love with Sam Neill.
You should be.
He's like, honest to God, because I was thinking like every scene that he's in, because he stars in that show across Cillian Murphy. And it's next to impossible to upstage Cillian Murphy in like a drama. And I feel like he does. I feel like when they are in the scenes together, I feel like Sam Neill's character is the one that feels more powerful, has more, your eyes are drawn to what he is doing more because he's just more interesting.
I mean, could be. I can't speak to it.
Speaking of interesting things, there's the craziest looking guy in this scene, and he's wearing a bow tie.
Yeah.
He looks like Pleakley from Lilo and Stitch.
Yes.
In body.
Saperstein is the name of this character, apparently.
Good.
Played by John Glover, who is in Gremlins 2, RoboCop 2, and Batman and Robin. He is Dr. Jason Woodrue, who is like the...
he's the one that fucking Poison Ivy murders.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. I now know him from all three of those things, but you're like Batman and Robin. I'm like, was he the credit card?
Yeah. He was the critic.
He played Joel Schumacher directing the movie. Yeah.
Did a great job.
I quit.
But he gives a minor performance, but memorable.
Yeah, he's a fucking crazy person. It's the lunatic running the asylum.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit. It won't be the last time we mention Ghostbusters 2 in this discussion.
It will not be.
But it reminds me of the guy who works at the museum. Yeah, reminds me of him.
I love that character.
Who was
so
in
much.
Adam's Family Values.
He's the camp counselor.
Hey,
Yeah,
I know things.
you do. What's funny is that the first time I saw this movie, I didn't like this guy, and then the second time I saw this movie, I still didn't, because I was young and I didn't put any kind of subtext to it or come up with anything on my own.
Right.
But what I will say is, us watching it this week, something that I thought of is like, because he acts like real zany and like almost like menacing. It's like menacing in like a psychotic scientist kind of way, like torturous. And it is the thing of, I wonder if his performance is dialed up so heavily because the people in this world are all losing their fucking minds. And is any of that infecting the people here? And if it, because I know you have to be reading these works or around people that do, it's almost like an infection, but it's not impossible to think that he has done any of that. It's the thing of when you've written a story that's so compelling and so interesting about how the world explodes, when you rewatch it and there are things that are odd, if you could make a reasonable excuse of like, well, maybe he's just fucking nuts at this point, it's like, okay, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah. Just not much to, like, they don't use him a whole lot.
No, I just think that that's general for a lot of the people in this movie, especially towards the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
It's also a bit of like, I love this idea that comes up several times throughout this, and it makes me think, this story that's being told, do these people exist, or is it only because of the story being told? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Like,
and listen, guys, we know you're confused right now, or you've seen this movie and you get what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But if you don't, we will try our best to explain. but you may leave here being just as confused as you are now.
Yeah. The closest like we've kind of come to this feeling is New Nightmare.
Yeah, where it's reality on reality on reality. Yeah.
Which I mean they both came out like within the same year. So that's interesting. But he gets thrown in this cell and they put on a song that he realizes is the Carpenters, which has got to be some little nod.
Yeah.
But I love the acting on Sam Neill's face of the slow realization of what he's hearing. And then the like, I hate the Carpenters. Like, why did it have to be this? And he just like slumps down in his cell.
It is well, at least it's not raining. Thunderclap, you know, I love it.
But then there is like a knock at the door and a shadowy figure appears behind him. And then we get this line of, this is not the ending. You haven't read it yet. And then we get a bunch of quick flashes of events from this film that we haven't seen at this point.
Right.
They make no sense to us in this moment. And then we get a visit from Dr. Wren, who comes to see Trent. Saperstein asks, do you think he's one of them? And again, we don't have any context for what any of this means at this point. Dr. Wren is played by David Warner. We've mentioned him before. He is in The Omen in 76. He was in Tron in 82. He is in The Company of Wolves, which is a werewolf film from 84. He's in Titanic. He was in Scream 2. He is the drama teacher.
Oh, okay.
And then he was in Planet of the Apes, the 2001 version by Tim Burton.
So I have an interesting factoid about David Warner as well.
Oh.
Which I teased this to you the other day. And I teased you the other day.
He did.
I flicked it. But the point is Belle's favorite piece of written word of all time is Dante Alighieri's Inferno. She loves it so very much. And in Inferno, there obviously you have Dante, and then you have his guide through hell, Virgil. Virgil in the BBC radio drama that is narrated by John Hurt. David Warner is Virgil, and we are listening to that now. And so we were listening to that. She goes, I'm pretty sure the guy who's doing Virgil's voice was in the movie you guys were watching the other day. I don't know what it is. And I was like, well, no, I think the movie we were watching was In the Mouth of Madness. And she's like, yeah, it was the cop. And I was like, the cop? She's like, the detective. I was like, no, he's an insurance adjuster. And she's like, no, he goes in the room with Sam Neill. And I was like, oh, the psychiatrist? Maybe. And then, yeah, it is. And it's just it's a weird coincidental thing. But yeah, thought that was interesting.
No, that is. Because you had teased that the other day, and I was like, I do not know where this fact is going to drop
right now
or who about. But yeah, this is where Trent has now covered. He has drawn crosses on everything in this cell:
his bed, the floor, every wall, all of his clothing, down all of his arms, his neck, his collarbone, and most importantly, his face.
Yeah,
he's covered in crosses.
And like Wren kind of asks of do you think that that's going to protect you? And it's definitely, to me, it comes off as more of Trent at this point doesn't want to leave. He is like, I didn't want to be put in this cell, but now that I'm here, I don't want to go back out there in the world. And so I've got to make them believe that I have actually cracked and lost it.
Yeah.
And I think that performance is great.
Because you open the cell door with him and you go in and you see this guy who was just screaming, I'm not insane, covered in crosses. And he's like, oh, hey, what's up? And it's like, wait, what?
And then he brings up this idea of you're waiting to hear about my them, aren't you?
I love this.
Everybody
so much.
has a them.
Every psychopath has an it, a them, a they. They're following me. They know I'm here. It knows it can hear me. And it's just, that is an accurate depiction of, schizophrenia. And it is just so funny to hear him say it in such a kind of abstract way. I love that. I love that line.
And then it plays through some other things that are said throughout the movie, because anytime that we kind of bump into these strange things that happen, the woman has these visions of these kids when they're in Hobbs End. And then Trent has visions of like, he sees that thing happen in the, we'll get here in just a second, but he sees that thing happening in the alleyway, and then like he has dreams about it.
Yeah.
And the things that people say of like, I can see you, or he sees you.
Right.
And it's like, I think that kind of plays with this whole idea of them or a thing or a,
But imagine that though. Wouldn't that be disappointing if you went crazy and your they was a middle-aged horror writer from Maine?
like Stephen King?
No, Sutter Cane.
Yes. John Trent is a very successful insurance investigator.
It's so funny because, again, this is handled like an interrogation. There's this guy, this poor defenseless sap who's just seated there. And there's another guy who works to some capacity within this world, and he's fucking, Sam Neill is pacing. John is pacing around this room, and he's like, so tell me about yourself. What happened? And he's just like, oh, it's what I said. It was a fire or whatever. He's like, interesting. And you wouldn't, benefit from this happening, would you? And he just slowly, and the guy's such a sap that it's just like, I tricked you. You burned it all down, you fucker. And it's just like, it is so, and this is why I think I like the insurance investigator, adjuster, whatever. The reason I think I like this role for him, the character, is because it is not brave, but it's also not evil.
Right.
But it's not good.
No.
It's perfectly based in, it's not, a cop does cop shit in literature, in film. A cop, a soldier, a warrior does things to protect above the, to be the law. Nothing is above the law. That's not what this guy's doing. This guy's just going, yeah, I put the pieces of what you said together. It doesn't make sense. So you have to be lying, because only faith is one thing to see broken. A holy man breaks his faith because of a demon, fucking The Exorcist, whatever. Great storytelling. But this isn't that. This is the religion of reasoning being broken by something that doesn't fit in that puzzle. And from the beginning, you see that, well, this is the only world. Well, no, from the beginning, you see, I'm drawing crosses all over myself because I've lost my goddamn marbles, to immediately look at how reasonable, look at how logical
well put together I am. Yeah. But that's also you saying that of like, he is, man, I haven't thought about that. So in this scene, we're watching him kind of break down the reality of the story that this man has told of his business has burned down.
Can't work.
And he's gotten a bunch of money because of it. Oh, but his wife seems to be wearing a fur coat that you say burned up in your business, burned up in this fire. Well, that's strange that she still has it. Also, your mistress has one that looks very similar as well that you also said burned up in this thing. And so it's him tearing down the reality and revealing what's actually happening underneath, which then happens to him throughout the course of this film.
He's tearing down this lie. And to him, it has to be a lie. What you're saying doesn't compute with the evidence I've gathered, so it is a lie. And then he discovers what would happen if it's not a lie, but also isn't the reality that he knows. It's all the everything about this movie foreshadows itself, from the obvious flashes of imagery to the obvious foreshadowing of him being in the cell to just little character moments like so honestly, this is perfect as a segue. Where we leave from in this scene, guys lying, haha. Where we leave from is we are in a diner. And he and
Robinson is the character's name, played by Bernie Casey. He was a football player who then turned actor. He did some stuff. He was in Revenge of the Nerds. He was in Spies Like Us. And apparently he's in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. He's having lunch with this guy in this diner in the city. And they're discussing a new case that he wants Trent to look at of the horror writer Sutter Cane is missing. And
it's so funny because Trent immediately dismisses this and he's like, I don't care about that. I'm not interested in that at all.
Yeah.
I don't care for this. I'm passionless. And then as he's saying this, a fucking dead-eyed psycho in a bathrobe. You just see commotion from across the street out the window. The framing of this is gorgeous. And this is, you know, say what you want about the things that he's written, say what you want about the music. When it comes to setting a camera in a place and making it work for the fucking money, John Carpenter is near the best of the best. And this is good this is a good example. First of all, the lighting is all perfect. You've got, it feels like a diner without, all you can see is the fucking table.
Yeah, they don't really look around at all.
No, you're focused on the fucking
Just
table.
this booth and outside into like kind of a outdoor cafe sort of looking.
Like an outdoor cafe, a street, and then businesses across that street. It's all well lit because you're in front of a fucking window in daylight. Great. You can see them perfectly because it's just one shot where they're both in profile. They are acting across from each other. The dialogue is good. Everybody's having fun. And then you see out in the distance, and you and I have talked about this before, where we really like background horror. Fucking crazy shit happening. Details that you would miss normally that are in the background. And I think this is not so much that you would miss, but it's about how quickly you pick up on the fact that something is wrong.
Yes, it's because it doesn't just hold on this shot the whole time. We do cut to that guy and we see him kind of making his way. But then it's when anytime they cut back and we're just witnessing them continue their conversation, we know something that they don't.
Right. That they have not seen, which yields in this guy with an axe crosses the street after assumedly killing. I think the news report says that he killed a few people. He crosses the street, smashes the window. Green Goblin jumps up onto the windowsill, looks down at fucking Trent. Trent looks up. I love this visual. He looks up and, like a goat's eye has the rectangular pupil. It's like it is in a rectangle so far that it has been stretched because there are like two, like if your retina was an 8.
Yeah.
And it's his eyes are like milked over. And then you've got this really good makeup where he looks just exhausted and crazed, this dark red under his eyes. And he looks down at Trent and terribly ADR'd. That's the only complaint I have. It sounds like he mouthed it and somebody held a tape recorder next to the mic, or like the boom mic, and just, how do you read Sutter Cane? It's so bizarre.
And I think it's supposed to. I think it's supposed to sound weird, sound otherworldly.
Stilted.
Yeah.
But yeah, he asks, do you read Sutter Cane? And then Trent's like, no, but I'm going to Sutter cake the shit out of you. And then they karate fight.
Trent kind of sees news reports of rioting happening in the streets, and that it's being blamed on Sutter Cane fans who are, they can't get their hands on the new book fast enough.
They're mad that it hasn't come out yet. Yeah. And something that I think is so funny is, it's like when it would be like the zombie stories of like local report of man at a bus station attacked 6 people. People that have survived the attack are now in hospitals and say that they're showing signs of severe infection. And it's like, you see that it's the beginning of Last of Us that's what the reports on the TV are saying. And then the world fucking ends overnight. And it's like, you begin here and it's just like Sutter fans are fucking crazy, man. I don't know what to tell you. They are book hungry.
But Trent heads to like the publishing company of Sutter Cane's books,
where
and he meets with the owner, I guess, or
the lead editor, played by Charlton Heston.
Yeah, Jackson Harglow is his name.
Harglow's a good one.
He was famously in Planet of the Apes, The Omega Man, Soylent Green, and then he also is apparently in James Cameron's True Lies, and he also appears in Planet of the Apes, the 2001 Tim Burton version.
Oh, with the other guy.
Yeah. But yeah, he meets the head of the publishing company and Sutter Cane's editor, Linda Stiles. Linda Stiles is played by Julie Carmen. She was in a movie called Gloria in 1980, which was directed by John Cassavetes. She was in something called The Milagro Beanfield War, which was in 88, directed by Robert Redford. She is in Fright Night Part 2.
Oh.
And this movie.
Great.
She's in a few other things, but I don't really know this actress from anything.
No, and what's weird is that we watched her in some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. She has like her own little behind-the-scenes vignette for this, And she talks about this movie, and the way she talks like a career actress. That's like her whole life. It's all the nomenclature. She talks about like, very specific phraseology. She just seems so tuned into this world, and then has like 6 credits.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I mean, good for her for being in at least something that has like kind of surpassed its, that's nice. Again, do not care for her. Even in here, she is supposed to be like the sort of cynical and like, again, in a lesser movie, she would be this blonde bombshell that is like really sassy and like over the top. But in this, it's like she's sarcastic, but that's because she doesn't really seem to respect Trent or what's happening. And later on, you find out it's because a lot of this is bad faith and kind of built on a lie of this publishing house. But she is just kind of like around in this scene. She says things, but mostly it's a conversation between Charlton Heston's character and Trent where they explain Sutter Cane is missing. We do not know. He said he was going away for a while, and we have not heard from him in a long time. The last thing it was like he sent a message to his agent a little while ago, but after that, we haven't heard anything from him. And he's like, and Trent's like, well, ask his agent. Where's his agent? They're like, well, he's dead. He got shot by the police after he attacked you with an axe. And that is such a good rug pull of like, oh, fuck, that's who that was? Though why he didn't say, oh, yeah, by the way, that guy had 4 retinas. Was he always like that?
Yeah. Do you know anything about that at all?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, it's called 4 retina syndrome.
Oh, you should have let him know. No, I love that moment. It is kind of the first of many moments on Sam Neill's face of him realizing something that is like, well, no, that couldn't possibly be. What do you mean?
Speaking of the 2001 Planet of the Apes film with Tim Burton, that famously stars Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
And Mark Wahlberg, it's like a meme about his performances and everything that he's in, where he always looks confused, but it's always the same kind of confused. Like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah. What? Sam Neill goes through the however many stages of whatever horrible emotion while being confused the entire movie.
Yeah.
Because this is like, he's confused, but he's also like offended. He's like, that's who this fucking guy, you didn't think to lead the conversation with that?
But yeah, they've explained this whole thing of Sutter Cane has disappeared. The last time they had heard from him, he had stopped writing because he thought that his writing was coming true. And then Trent doesn't believe this. He thinks that the whole thing is a publicity stunt just to drum up some attention for the new book that is coming.
Which again, great foreshadowing because it is.
Yes.
Now there's a huge asterisk next to that, but he does not realize to this point, but it is a big old plot. But I like that he can sniff that out very quickly.
Yes.
And it's just, again, it's good character. It's the person who wrote this script knew who this guy was when he started writing. And I like that. And
then on his way home, he passes by these posters of the Hobbs End horror. I noticed the tagline for it is, if this book doesn't scare you to death, then you're already dead. That to me is a reference to the tagline of Black Christmas, which was, if this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight. Could be reaching, but that
it's a little bit, but no, I see where you pull that. If anything, it's just nice to think about Black Christmas. We're close.
Yeah, we're getting there again.
We got to watch it this year again, every year.
Yeah, it's the best. But then shortly there, he turns the corner and he witnesses a cop beating somebody who was doing graffiti in the alleyway. He after he makes it home.
But like even the first time he sees it, it's like a fever dream.
Yeah.
It's the camera kind of like the frame slows down a little bit and there's like other people like watching but doing nothing. And then there are others just kind of milling about. It's very surreal in reality's version of it.
Right. And then the cop like whips his head around and is just like, oh, do you want some too?
Yeah.
And that would never happen. Police would never just threaten people, who weren't doing anything wrong.
Really quick, do you remember how I was doing that thing where I was like, all cauliflowers are broccoli or whatever? So it's actually all cops are bastards. We got that wrong.
That's what it's been this whole time.
Obviously, we're not going to comment on that at all.
No. But then whenever he goes home, he does see more police violence on and riots on the TV.
Yeah. Again, those Sutter Cane fans, they're thirsty for it.
He decides to do some research. He goes to a bookstore and buys a copy of all the available books.
This bookstore scene reminds me of a Eldritch horror story version of the video store. Because it's like, a really big, weird expositional thing is going to happen right here in the middle of this weird store. But this version is a bloody, weepy-eyed kid, not Randy at a cardboard cutout.
Yeah. And we meet this kid, and this is where we get that quote of he sees you, which is just this foreboding, what does that mean and who are you speaking about?
I meant to pay attention to whether he also had the weird eyeballs.
I don't believe so in this scene.
No, I think he's just got the glasses on, but he is got the beginnings of blood around his eyes.
Yeah, it's definitely, he looks that exhausted look.
Yeah.
Trent goes home, he falls asleep reading these books, and he dreams about the incident in the alleyway with the cop. And he begins, he is surrounded by people, himself in the dream. They're all, they attack him they move toward him with these weapons, one of them being the axe guy. And they move past him, but they say, he can see you, and they attack the graffiti artist. And then we get kind of the first of a couple times this happens where Trent wakes up from a nightmare to then immediately something else terrible happens and he wakes up from another nightmare screaming. The cop, whenever you see him in both these nightmare pieces, his eyes are all messed up. His face,
it's like pustules and boils, but they're like acidic and green and disgust, and his eye, the actual retinas of his eyes are all super miscolored. And it is that thinning of the veil.
Yes.
And it's, what happens when a fictional character sleeps.
Yeah.
What would they dream about if they weren't real and now they are?
Right.
And it's just abstract craziness based on the the very limited set of memories that you would have.
Yeah. Of just a weird thing that you witnessed right before going to bed, and then you're reading a horror novel and fall asleep on the couch.
Right. Speaking of him reading the horror novel, then we have this amazing moment that is, I believe, a commentary on Stephen King's greater body of works.
Okay.
Which is, he takes all the, he
love this.
There's a line drawn on the cover of one of these books, like a kind of brighter colored red line.
Yeah, it almost looks like a red ribbon of some kind. Right. Yeah.
And he looks at it, and then he looks at the others, and then one of them it's yellow, and one of them it's great, but they all have a line that kind of just sort of meanders through the art. And so he tears all of the bindings off of these books and then cuts those lines and then adds them all of these shapes that have then been created out of the cover art and puts them together. And it makes
New Hampshire.
Right. Which is
perfect map of New Hampshire.
But my favorite part about that is if you took Stephen King's work and distilled it all, it's just Maine.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know if you take that from that. I know very little about Stephen King.
No, they absolutely, because whenever he is showing it to them, he has taped these things together, and then he has a clear sheet that he has drawn a map onto that he lays over it, and Maine is right next to New Hampshire, and so it is huge on the page.
So fucking funny. But he's like, which means, because the whole thing is about the last book was Hobbs End, the Hobbs End horror, and he's like, which means that Hobbs End is in New England. And I love that because it is this Stephen Kingism of Pennywise, the dancing lights, this evil ancient creature that feeds off of the fear of children. It landed in Maine. It's Jesus is obviously in Utah.
Yeah, I've read about that. I love this whole book, like a secret image thing coming from that. I love book covers that are connecting. That is kind of there is a Stephen King pair of novels. Stephen King's is called Desperation, and then his other writing name, Richard Bachman, which I mentioned the other day, he did a Richard Bachman book called The Regulators. And so the first, I have these. The first printing of the hardcovers of those have connecting covers to where the front cover and the back cover like bleed into each other.
Oh, yeah, great.
And because those stories are kind of, they take place in like mirror dimensions of each other. So I don't know. That's just an interesting kind of comparison there.
I like art that you can separate into its own pieces and then combine again.
Yeah.
I like that.
But because of this, he decides to, that Hobbs End, this must be, the hidden place that Sutter Cane has gone to. And so we have to go to Hobbs End. We have to find it to find Cane.
Right. That maybe it's an old enough place that it doesn't exist on a current map. This is where Charlton Heston gives us, the audience, a rug pull. And he's like, this girl that's in this scene that I keep calling a girl that you don't really like, she's going with you.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, please go. You go with us, Charlton. Oh, could you imagine?
Oh, man.
Buddy cop Sam Neill, Charlton Heston trying to find Stephen King in the middle of New Hampshire. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Which is actually Toronto, by the way. Oh, wonderful.
But yeah, Trent and Linda set out to find Hobbs End. Hobbs End, based on Stephen King's Castle Rock, which is a fictitious town that features in a lot of his stories. It also could be based on Lovecraft's Arkham, which is like a township that he uses in a bunch of his stuff. Famously, it's in the Reanimator film franchise.
What's funny is that Arkham, the Arkhamness of this, always to me, because of Batman, but then because of the stories that Arkham is featured in, that is especially in the scene where he leaves it, it's that asylum. It's that when you see it from the outside, it seems to go on forever. Yeah. And but this is a grueling part of this movie. It's not very long, but the car ride element of this movie is always just like the part that
drags a bit.
Yeah. If the movie's an hour and a half and you only had an hour and 10 minutes, that's 20 minutes that you can skip.
This is where our clip comes in. So just kind of discussing, what makes things scary, reality shifting. Styles eventually takes over driving. And we get this surreal section here that you're talking about where she passes like this kid on a bike and then an old man on a bike.
So much. But
the old man looks like John Carpenter.
Yes, it does. But there's also things where you can just tell that it's the same person. It's not like a secret of any way. But I like the details that they do focus on, which is the clicking of the playing cards and the bicycle spokes. And I love that because it is such a kid thing to do that. And so to see it being ridden by this like near dead old man is like, they say that your brain looks at someone with plastic surgery, and because that plastic surgery is typically meant for older people, that your brain immediately assumes that those people are older without you really giving it much thought. It is the thing of like spokes, playing card spokes are for much younger people. So seeing an old man on is like, ew, no.
Yeah. The whole bike thing and this kid and this old man and the baseball card and the spokes thing, that is like such a Stephen King detail to me.
Yeah.
Like that is something he would put in his books.
Well, and people always compare Stranger Things and whatnot to his work as well. But then you get, and this is very Stephen King-y. And I like the melding of these two authors because then you start to have the Lovecraft shit where all of a sudden you keep seeing him over and over. And then there is no more road. It's just an empty black void. And then
there's like lightning that flashes and she realizes that she's somehow driving above the clouds.
Right. And it is just like the fractured brain. And then she kind of like comes to that visual of her driving on nothing and then being tens of thousands of miles in the air is like, this is an $8 million movie and there's a lot of effects work that goes into it. So after a while, you're like, they couldn't have spent a lot of money on any one effect, but they all look so good.
Yeah. They know exactly like what to use where. But yeah, they end up, they cross this wooden bridge and they end up in Hobbs End.
Yes.
This whole scene where they show up at Hobbs End for the first time, the town seems deserted. It gives me Santa Mira from Halloween 3 vibes.
Yeah.
Them going on this adventure together gives me Halloween 3 vibes.
But as much as we love Sam Neill, neither of them are that sexy.
No.
The bridge reminds me, and this is such a weird poll, but the bridge reminds me of the queue for the Kilimanjaro safari ride at Animal Kingdom.
I know exactly what you're referencing.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like an enclosed wooden bridge.
Yeah, and you walk over where they then go underneath you. They drive underneath.
Jeeps, yeah.
Wow. Weird poll, but I get it. There's going to be a handful of people who love that.
Thanks, guys. And if you don't get it, fuck you.
But as they're looking around, Styles has this vision of this group of kids who are chasing a dog.
Yeah.
And she asks Trent, like, you see those kids, right? He's like, no. And already it's like, ooh, she's slipping.
Not only is she slipping, but also I love how impatient he is with her slipping. Because it's like, he's like, no, get your shit together. Like, no, I don't see that. What are you talking about? It's so funny.
Yeah. And they end up at the Pickman Hotel.
Where Mrs. Pickman.
Yes.
And I like so much the discovery of why she is slipping and that reveal, which is in just a second. But in those moments, it is the things that he is oblivious to,
right?
That she is like the woman in the painting across from the check-in counter has like turned and is looking at them, and she's like, Trent, and he's like, not now. It's just like,
and it's the way that that's kind of played out because they don't give you. It's not like it's not a subtle thing.
No,
it is a thing of we see the painting. The camera is away from it. When they first walk in, she goes to the desk and she's like, there should be a painting on the wall behind me. And he's like, yeah, there is. And then he goes to move toward it and she's like, that's a loose floorboard. And he steps on a loose floorboard. And she's like remembering that because he's like, well, I thought you said you didn't know where this place was or anything. How'd you get here? And she's like, I don't know. I feel like I've been here before. We've read this before.
What's crazy is that he is accusatory. He's like, you said you hadn't been here because that's how his brain works. And then she, because of her world and this literary world, and also the fact that she is having great, apocalyptic revelations of her own mind of like, no, dumbass, you read this last night. How do you not remember any of this? And it's like, he's like, because I don't know how to read. I just saw fucking squigglies and I cut them out and pasted them together.
Yeah, you had to look at it from that perspective.
He's like, that's what being an insurance investigator is all about, is cutting out the squigglies.
Yeah.
And she thought that was like a smart saying until she realized that's what he meant.
Yeah, let's put that on a t-shirt. But they set up this painting, and so we see it, and then they cut away from it, and the next time we see it, it is different. But we don't see the change happens. It happens between shots. And then the next time we see it, the woman just turns to look at Styles.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, so no, we didn't imagine anything. It is happening.
I also like, we didn't imagine anything, but also you're not being subtle about this.
No.
And so I don't have to feel like I need, because you don't have to look for the details.
No.
I'm sure there are. I haven't paid attention to that.
Yeah.
But it hits you over the head with the mental breakdown.
Yes. Mrs. Pickman, she checks them in, but whenever they kind of talk to her about Sutter Cane, she has no idea what they're talking about.
None. And he can't believe that. He's like,
right,
the famous horror writer from this town. He wrote about this town.
Even if you've never read Stephen King, you know who he is.
Sure.
You've heard his name at the very least.
But if Derry, Maine was a real place, and you didn't know, you've never read anything, you'd know who it was if you lived in the town.
Right.
Yeah.
Mrs. Pickman is played by Frances Bay. She was in The Karate Kid. She was in David Lynch's Blue Velvet, David Lynch's Wild at Heart. She was in Arachnophobia, Critters 3, and the thing that I knew her from first, she is the grandmother in Happy Gilmore.
Oh.
The Adam Sandler film.
I haven't seen that.
What? You haven't seen that?
No, I don't like Sandler. She reminds me of a mixture between the woman who plays Aunt May in Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy and Lin Shaye.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I see that.
Yeah.
I see that.
Because they're both old. They're old women.
But they move, they check into this hotel, they move into the room, and then they continue this conversation of, well, Cane must have just based all of the things in his books off of this little town.
Yeah.
But this is where it really starts, like cracks start happening for Trent, because he's like, well, no, if that was true, then out this window, there'd be a big church, this big black church.
No, you're looking the wrong direction. It would be out to the west. It's that window.
She looks out the other window and it's there.
And that is just such a fucking insane thing that that building exists.
Yes.
For sure. I thought that was an effect.
Oh yeah. It looks like a matte painting.
Yeah. And like a really high detailed matte painting. And then they walk up to it and it starts to grow with the camera movement and it is clearly real. And it's like, get the fuck out of it. That's the most beautiful building
yes.
in the US. That is gorgeous.
But it's also because at the time of shooting this, it is the only thing.
Right.
And so the ground around it just slopes off in grass. And then it seems like there's nothing else out there.
It looks like if you took a giant Gothic like mosque or cathedral and placed it into the Windows XP grass background.
Yeah.
It's crazy that the contrast. But this is where she reveals to him, like, listen, this was bullshit. We lied.
Right.
Sutter Cane, we knew where he was. He was not missing. But this shouldn't be real. This should not be possible. How the fuck is this happening? And he's just like, dude, calm down, relax. We'll find an answer. And it's like, okay, dude. For a moment, sure, but like, well, I guess to his perspective, now that I think about it, to his perspective is like, yeah, you knew about a painting and this old lady has the same name as in the book. But like, it's probably just based on the town. So I don't know if I agree with him or not because I am a living person in a reasonably sane world. Well, no, I used to be.
Right.
At least the list. Anyway.
But they get to this black church. They don't find anyone around. Styles has another vision of the kids with the dog. The kids become more and more kind of, their faces begin changing a bit every time she sees these visions.
Their jaws get bigger. Their teeth get like sharp. Their eyes sink in and become darkened. And yeah, they become like
a little closer to what the cop looked like earlier.
Like demonic.
Yeah.
But not demonic. They look otherworldly. They look possessed by some great old thing.
Yeah. And then a bunch of cars pull up and these angry men with guns jump out.
Including
the name given is Simon. He's played by Wilhelm von Homburg.
And literally anything you know of his work is irrelevant.
He was in Die Hard.
Doesn't matter. He's Vigo the Carpathian.
Yes.
The evil painting from Ghostbusters 2 that spreads his goodly pink goo all over and turns the Statue of Liberty alive.
Man, see? I told you. Ghostbusters getting a lot of play in this episode.
It's the second time we mentioned it.
Yeah, and then we talked about Bustin'.
Yeah, if anything's getting a lot of play in this episode, it's goddamn Stephen King. Personally, I'm getting sick of it.
But Simon gets out of the truck, firing his gun in the air, screaming, "Cane, give him back."
Yeah.
And just another one of these, like, things just keep happening and people say things and we have no idea what they're talking about.
This one makes the closest to sense immediately because then with a giant flurry of wind and odd camera moves, the doors of this cathedral fly open and there is a little boy. And then in my one real criticism about this movie, because I have almost none. I gave this movie 5 stars.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Walker gave this movie 5 stars.
Wow.
Said this was the best. This was the final best thing John Carpenter ever made. Which I don't agree with, but it's great.
Yeah.
You know, I love agreeing with him, but I really love disagreeing with him. But you gave this 4 stars. We both agree that this is exceptional, but I think there's almost nothing wrong with this. And that might be nostalgia glasses, but this is like my big criticism is right here, because it is confusing to your audience when you are trying to introduce a very pivotal part of your story and you choose to do it in a visually confusing way. Because what happens, to my mind, having seen this movie probably half a dozen times, is that he screams, "Give him back." The doors swing open and he sees his son, who is to some capacity, whether spiritually or even real, like through the bonds of reality, being held captive in this place.
Right.
Then the doors close and then they open and he's there again. And then they close and they open again. And then it's a grown man smiling in a turtleneck. And it's like, is that the kid?
Okay.
Was that the young boy?
Yeah.
Because I've seen this movie so many times that I know that that's not what they're doing, but it's still, because it's like doors closing and the reopening is often a passage of time indication.
Yeah.
And it's like, did he just grow up? What happened? Why did he become this?
Yeah. No, I understand now why that would be confusing in that way.
Why did he become this slightly less attractive Ricardo Montalban?
Yeah. But this is Sutter Cane.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily know that in this moment, I guess, but
I think it's assumed.
Yeah.
I think the intention of the scene is to heavily imply that that's who it is because of the reaction that his face gets.
Exactly. And then Sutter Cane says, "Release the hounds," as Mr. Burns loves to do.
Yeah.
And he sicks a pack of Dobermans on these men.
Much like Riff Raff does to the monster in the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
All full of references tonight, guys.
Yeah. A bunch of Dobermans run out and start fucking mauling people.
Yeah. Apparently, they had stunt guys for this, but apparently, actually did hurt a couple people.
Oh,
they had to go
my
to the
God.
hospital. But Stiles admits, that this whole thing was a fraud, but they are actually finding things that they were not supposed to.
Yeah.
The new book that he was working on, have people turning into things and losing control. But they should just basically the things that are happening now are details from a book that hasn't been released yet. She's the only one as his editor who has read this. And so they have to try and find a copy of it so that they can skip to the end to know how this is going to work.
Right. Which is Spaceballs fast forwarding to where they're watching themselves watch themselves in an infinite corridor.
Yes.
Right. Which is funny because you remember the last time I referenced that was in fucking Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Yeah. Trent tries to leave, but he stops at the painting in the lobby and he talks to Mrs. Pickman because he starts seeing changes in the painting as well. Because I believe the couple is now have grown tentacles and are
her face, her eye is sloped down to the middle of her face.
Maybe
and
that's
a
what it is.
Squid's eye.
It's just kind of starting to deform. It's later that I think the tentacles come out.
Well, and then really quick, if we haven't mentioned, the hotel is the Pickman Hotel. She is Mrs. Pickman, and the drama of the scene that she is in is based off of a painting that becomes more and more horrible the more you look at it. Beautiful.
Jeff's kiss, everyone.
Don't kiss him anymore.
But Mrs. Pickman is also looking more and more haggard at this point.
Oh, yeah. And then something he says, that can't be the same character. That sweet old woman, the character in the book murders her husband. And then after this moment where he notices that this painting has gotten more malevolent and he turns and he leaves, the camera follows around and then at her and then down at the counter. And there is this old man nude chained from his wrist to her ankle. And he makes a noise and she kicks him in the head and is like, "Shut up." And it's like, what the fuck am I watching? Old man butt.
During this scene, Stiles leaves stealing the car and she goes back to the church, seeing the kids again. But she goes into the church, finding Sutter Cane typing behind a desk. And he says, he kind of explains of he thought he was making it all up, but it was really them telling him what to do.
Right.
So we again have our them, and there's this giant slimy set of doors.
Fuck, I love that
that are
prop so
like-
much.
Like a haunted mansion door. It's kind of bowing out as something is trying to get through.
And let me be clear, it does not look like a real door.
No.
The effects team did a great job. It looks like it's got latex on it. It does not look like a real door at all, but I love it. It reminds me of like, there's like slime collected in the corners and like kind of dripping down through the wood. It reminds me of the Upside Down. Like how everything is kind of made of tendrils and like goo. But then it's like, it also looks like a giant old wooden gate. And the sound design here of just the whole time he's speaking, you just hear like this, like, and it's just like, the fuck is happening?
Something
this
wants
was a
out.
story about insurance.
Right.
And then you remember that it opens with an asylum and you're like, oh,
right. The murders. Sutter Cane is played by Jürgen Prochnow.
probably Jürgen.
Probably. It has an umlaut over the U.
Definitely Jürgen.
He was in the 1983 supernatural horror film called The Keep. He was in David Lynch's Dune. He plays Duke Leto Atreides in that.
Really interesting.
He was in David Lynch's Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, which was the film prequel. And then he was also in Judge Dredd from 95.
Oh, okay.
So this is where we're kind of introduced to the idea of the old ones.
Yes.
Which is a concept. It may have come before Lovecraft, but I feel like that's kind of where it comes from.
It is the thing of like, yeah, you know, Beatles didn't create rock as it is now, but it's like, you know, it because of them.
Right.
It is. I wouldn't know. I mean, I can't imagine with just humanity's long storied history of mythos and storytelling, but like the great old one. So speaking of D&D, the great old one is if you play the warlock class, the warlock is a character that pulls its magical power from something else, a great being of certain strength. One of the options that you have of a being that you can pull strength from is the great old one.
Okay.
Inky black, sea dwelling, an unfathomable number of eyes. It all shares that same, and that's Lovecraft, is the eyes, the tendrils that reach out from the inky black darkness to take hold of your mind and shatter it. It's like, and that's what I love is those kinds of references where it doesn't pay homage so much as it takes the car and drives on and continues it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, yeah. And that's what I love about the idea of the old ones or Lovecraftian sort of cosmic horror is that his stories are old. They're all like in the public domain.
Oh yeah.
And like people like horror writers, horror directors and things like that, they have read his work for years. They love it. And you can take part in it. You don't have to. So like a good example of that is like the Hellboy franchise, like the comic series, the movies, like they deal with demons and fighting monsters and creatures and things. But like in the first movie, if you just take that into consideration, it's like there is a point where they punch through reality and they almost wake up the old ones. They are like frozen, encapsulated in space.
To do that with the point of it is like, oh yeah, and they wrote a horror book through me to give to, because this is kind of the exposition he gives. They have written a horror book through me to give to the world to break their minds because the madness will be too much of a lure. It will break the barrier between madness and sanity. They will come out and take the world over again. And it's like, oh, that's what this movie's about? And it's like, if you didn't know, because you and I have the good, the good fortune of knowing. If you didn't know, I bet, like, I wish I could go back and get that twist again because it is so meta.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And he shows her the like finished manuscript, and she gets another series of these flashes of things that haven't happened yet. And it's revealed that Sutter Cane has a little meefy guy growing out of the back of his head.
Yeah, it's a Voldemort situation. He's a Quirrell, if you will.
And then this is the scene where Julie Carmen's acting is the absolute worst, because she goes back to Trent and is begging him to save her. I'm losing me, John, is the line. That is awful.
And then she's like sexlessly kissing him.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. It happens later in the car. She says something of like, I'm sorry, he wrote me to do this.
Yeah.
He wanted me to do this, so he wrote it.
Which is funny because I like that line, but it's like...
Yeah, the idea of it, there's a couple of lines like that with Simon in the bar later. That is like chilling.
Yeah. Because I think I don't think it's too premature to talk about this. I think it's generally assumed that John Trent was not a real person, that he is a pure work of fiction that was created for the sole purposes of the story of this novel that Sutter Cane is writing and has only recently begun to exist. But I don't think that's the same thing with her. I don't think that's implied at all. I think that she has been his editor for years and whatnot, but that he is now in control of reality.
Yes, because then whenever he makes it back, I'm jumping ahead, Harglow doesn't know anything about Styles.
Because it's like she's been written out.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's playing with the reality of it all. Trent goes to check on the Pickmans. He knows that this is where he notices that the painting has changed again and that they are now tentacled monsters.
And then he goes down into the cellar.
And Mrs. Pickman is also a tentacled monster.
She's a spooky tentacle monster, and she is murdering her husband.
Yes.
Or fucking the shit out of him.
Yeah, we don't know.
It could be both.
And he goes back upstairs. Styles has also become a tentacled monster. He sees a monster in the greenhouse as he's leaving. He drives into the town. He goes to this bar.
A monster in the greenhouse seems more, because I was going to say, I don't know who that seems more like, Lovecraft or King, but it almost kind of feels more like R.L. Stein.
Yeah.
Like monster in the greenhouse sounds like a Goosebumps.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's just kid Lovecraft.
Yeah, basically. And then you've got, the paintings as they turn from like the woman into like a squid. That's an anamorph.
Yeah. Love that series.
You own all of them.
I do.
That's impressive.
I really do.
Yeah, it's impressive.
I love that series a lot. I wish that it had an actual ending.
I'll write it tomorrow.
Yeah. K.A. Applegate, get on that. Please write a legacy sequel to finish.
K.A. Applegate, we hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I think she is.
Stephen King, I'm sure you're fine.
Yeah, you're doing.
You get a lot of money. You're fine.
But yeah, Trent goes into the little city there, or the little township, and he goes to this bar where Simon is there. He was the mob leader earlier at the church.
Yeah, he's Vigo.
Trent is still at this point thinking this is all an elaborate prank.
This is so fucked.
It is a thing where it almost feels like at moments like the Truman Show.
Yes.
Or like oh my God, I had another example while we were watching it that I can't think of now, but it doesn't matter. Truman Show's a good enough pull of like, what is reality and who is in on this and who is not.
And then his world is kind of finally shattered.
Yes.
His ability to cling to his sort of Western, socio-religious fundamentals and what is and isn't real is finally shattered because Vigo is, I know that's wrong for his character and his actor, but I don't care. Vigo's leaned up against like the wall of the bar and he is holding his rifle. And he is clearly about to shoot himself. And Trent's like, you don't need to do that. And he's like, it's what my character does. It's what I always do. Yeah. And then blows his brains out. And it's the revelation of, oh, this story just repeats over and over and over and over again. This is the book. They're living the book every day. And it's like, that's so fucking gross. This part is a little meandering in my mind, where
Yeah.
it's like him trying to escape.
Yeah, and we've had these sorts of moments before. I think this one is pretty well done.
Yeah.
Comparatively to like Freddy's Dead.
Oh, big time.
But yeah, he goes to the center of the town. There's a bunch of people circling Styles. But he grabs her, throws her in the car.
And she's crazy.
Yeah, she has lost it. She swallows their keys to the car, and so he has to use a screwdriver to crank it and leave.
He gets out of the car at one point because while they're in the car and they're driving and they're trying to get out, they get back on like the weird bicycle old man highway, and he's off at a phone booth, just doing whatever.
Yeah,
phone booth out in the middle of nowhere. That confuses me. But then she gets out of the car and like exorcist walks to him, but her head spins all the way around so that it's facing upright. So now her head is backwards and she's grab walking, and she grab walks a little bit. And then she just kind of flips back around. So now her head's still upside down. Yeah. And it's like, well, then why did you do that at the beginning? Yeah. Like, what a dumb person, Why flip your head all the way around if you're just going to flip back onto your front? Dummy.
Yeah, that's a good point. I love this.
No,
I love the way that it looks. It makes me think of you haven't seen Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
No.
There's a point in that where like a dog runs up and it has a human face.
Oh yeah, that's fucking with Mark Patton.
Yeah, Freddy's Revenge. Yeah,
yeah,
it's just like that. Honestly, that's a good pull. But it's that sort of thing where it's like it looks so surreal.
Yeah, this is a moment where her bad acting kind of pays off,
kind of works,
because like the entire time she's trying to be flirty with him in any way, she has this stupid like kind of dead-eyed smirk at him, and so to see that dead-eyed smirk upside down and backwards as she's crab crawling to him is like, ugh, like it makes it weirder. It makes it like, more uncanny valley.
Yeah, it's like Mona Lisa's smile. Like you don't know. You don't know what she's thinking.
But in this, it's because like she doesn't know how to properly emote,
right,
or read her dialogue in a way that's compelling.
Correct.
Right. But, worst part of the movie, folks.
Yeah, unfortunately, he gets in another one of these kind of time loop things, and
even still, he's trying to rationalize it. He's like, must have taken a wrong turn somewhere else. Bad choice here, bad choice there.
But he wakes up eventually after doing that a few times. He wakes up because he crashes the car, trying to just finally just like, okay, I can't leave, so I'm just going to run all these people over.
Yep.
And he crashes the car and then wakes up in a confession booth at the church.
Right.
And he begins talking to Cane, and they talk about, what is it that makes a reality? Is it simply believing enough in something that makes it real? Which is this whole idea of we read stories and we bring these universes to life. Right. They are things, they are literal ink on a page. They are nothing. And we bring them to life. Whether it be through, our own minds, or we write it, somebody writes a script and then shoots a movie and does it that way as well. But it's like, none of this actually exists.
Right.
So what does count? But like to us, we have feelings. We care about these people. We care about characters. What makes reality in that point?
Right.
Yeah. And then how easy is it to break? Cane has finished his newest manuscript, In the Mouth of Madness, and he gives it to Trent to deliver, where he then goes to join his new publishers, the old ones.
So several funny things happened here. The first thing that happens is there's another one of those dream sequency kind of things that's forced on him, because he's like, oh, and John, they ever tell you that my favorite color is blue? And then, is that here?
Mm-mm. That's when he's escaping.
Like through the tunnel?
Yeah, it's after that. No, I mean like he's gone back home. Like he's going back home. That's it, the bus ride back home.
Oh, okay.
It's like a nightmare he has.
Okay, I'm going to let you just keep going.
Okay. The old ones, his new publishers, the old ones. Cane, basically he explains that, everything is how he has written it. Town didn't exist before the book. Neither did Trent.
Right.
And he then rips himself and reality, I guess, like a page in a book.
Right. Which, another Disney comparison, reminds me of the walls in the Winnie the Pooh ride.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's like reality tears itself open and reveals that on the backside of reality are written pages.
Yeah. I mean,
and Winnie the Pooh ride is scarier than hell.
Yeah, just an existential nightmare at this point. Wow, you really unlocked something in me.
Yeah, Winnie the Pooh floats away and then immediately is confronted by eldritch monsters in the form of heffalumps and woozles.
That's true.
Yeah, brother.
Man, I'm gonna have to unpack that later. But no, Stiles starts reading from the manuscript, and she gives exact details of everything that has just happened while Trent is looking through. It's very much like the computer screen scene in New Nightmare, where we finish, we push in on this computer and it reads the exact script that they just were reading from.
This is a bit more chilling.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an effective part of that movie, but this is frightening.
Yeah. A lot of these quotes and a lot of quotes kind of used anytime that she's quoting the books and things like that are taken directly from H.P. Lovecraft short stories. The old ones then burst through into our reality and chase Trent down this like chamber corridor.
Chamber of Secrets. Let's call it what it is. Yeah.
And this is, I find it fascinating the amount of work that KMB had to do to build the creatures for this scene. All the puppeteers that had to bring it to life. There are like, it's like an 18-foot spread, all these different things. There are 2 freestanding creatures that are like full on like suits that people are wearing that are running alongside it. And there's puppeteers in it and behind it that are moving all the different heads and,
like on the
arms
track,
and everything. And they're having to physically push it forward on a track. For the very little that we actually get to see it,
right?
Because the lighting, it's a short screen, like screen time for these things, but it's just quick cuts of things.
I think they have to work.
Yes,
and they have to work 100%. They can't be phoned in at all because it is what this entire thing hinges on. So.
Oh, absolutely. And the footage that they show of it in the special features, because you get to really see
really
it
well lit,
like in detail, and it's like, oh my god, just the amount of work. But then it almost works thematically because it's almost a near like perfect representation of Lovecraft's work, because the creatures that he writes are not able to be beheld by a person or understood by them.
Right.
And so it's like, even in this version, we're only seeing flashes of it, because seeing any more of it, we might go insane.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot.
Trent, he bursts through and wakes up in the middle of a crossroads, and he has the manuscript that Cane has given him, and he gets directions from this kid on a bike.
Right.
Now, this is one of the strangest things that I found about this movie. Do you know who that paperboy is?
No.
That young paperboy.
No, but I'm so fucking excited.
His film debut.
Is this?
Yes.
Okay. He would go on to be in
some movies.
Okay.
A couple of movies from a trilogy that I love.
Okay.
Hayden Christensen in his film debut is that young paperboy.
Get the fuck out of here. Are you serious?
Yes.
What the fuck? Oh, that's why Walker loves this movie so fucking much.
Unironically, that solves that.
Yeah.
100% for this moment.
I guarantee you he doesn't know that. I don't know anybody else but you that knows that. For a brief moment, Derek, you were the only person on earth that knew that fact.
I gave it all away.
Yeah. And your Animorphs, I sold them for a fortune.
What? No, those are like vintage.
Yeah, pennies on the dollar. Nobody wanted them.
I know. Trent is trying to escape. He's trying to make it back home, and he stops in this like motel where he gets a package, but no one is supposed to know that he's there.
Could possibly.
Yeah.
Right.
And
he doesn't know how he's there.
He's got his name like in big letters on it. And it's another copy of this manuscript that he just keeps leaving places or burning or just trying to get rid of.
Because at this point, he knows that if it makes it back to the mainland, the world is over.
Exactly.
Right.
And so he's taking this bus. He's sitting beside this older woman who's just talking his ear off, and he falls asleep, waking up to instead Sutter Cane sitting beside him, explaining like, I'm not leaving you, man. I'm here. I'm God now. You got to do it. You just got to do what I say.
And then in the trailer shot, he goes, by the way, John, did I ever tell you that my favorite color is blue. And then
he wakes up
and he looks around and everything is blue.
Yeah.
Everyone is only wearing blue. The seats are all blue. The fucking world is tinted blue. And he just starts screaming like a fucking maniac. He's like facing the window and then he's like, real fuck. And it's so funny.
It's an amazing like joke of a shot.
It's a good joke, but it's also a super valid crash out.
Yeah.
Like, man, God's fucking with me hardcore right now.
He makes it back to the publisher. We kind of talked about this before. And because he had checked in with the like county records first, and they're like, no, Hobbs End is not a real place. It has never existed.
Right.
But then he goes back and he talks to the publisher and explains everything, how Sutter Cane had gone to Hobbs End, and how like he was supposed to bring the manuscript, but he didn't. He keeps burning it and getting rid of it. And Harglow is confused. And it's just like, no, you turned that in personally, like weeks ago.
Right.
We published it
So
weeks ago.
It has been weeks.
And it's that realization of just like, where is the time gone? Like, what do you mean? How could that be possible? And then the movie comes out in a month.
Right.
And it's like, okay, enough. Because earlier in the movie, they had said that like, no, this book is important. Like we've already sold the movie rights. The book hasn't come out yet, but it's like, which happens. Like that's how Jurassic Park, to go back to Sam Neill. It's like those. Michael Crichton was working on that when Hollywood got word of it, and we're just like, oh, that sounds cool. And then Steven Spielberg like hopped right on it.
He does that because Jaws is similar.
Yeah, true.
In that wasn't out for very long before it got its teeth sank in.
Wow.
Because a shark or a dinosaur. I don't fucking care. I'm moving on. I'm moving past it. But yeah, no. So then you kind of get a glimpse of the real world outside where it is more and more reports. And they're saying that there is an epidemic of mental insanity and to like shelter in place because people are just killing each other. And then there's still that errant like, people just can't get enough of this Sutter Cane. And it's like guys, it's not about Sutter Cane.
And they're like standing in line, like outside of a bookstore. And he goes there, and the kid that he talked to in the bookstore from earlier comes walking out. He's got the new book.
And now his
eyes are bleeding.
Like he is dripping blood down his chin that are just pouring out of his eyes.
And Trent is there dressed similarly to the agent from earlier. He's wearing a trench coat, and he looks at the kid. And he sees that his pupils are starting to separate.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, this should be familiar then. And he pulls an axe out of his trench coat and kills this kid in broad daylight, which is what lands him in the asylum.
So now we're fully back to the beginning. One thing I will say is when he took In the Mouth of Madness and he followed the little squiggly and he cut that out and added it to it, would that just be like Rhode Island?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably Rhode Island.
I would hope. But yeah, we get back and he's explaining that to
Dr. Wren.
And Dr. Wren doesn't look at him like he's a maniac. He looks at him like, oh, like understanding to a degree, but like disappointed understanding. Like, oh, okay, so that's what's going on outside. Like, great. And he's like, well, not everybody will read the book. Some people don't even like to read. And he goes, yep, that's why the movie comes out in 3 days. It's like, oh, right.
Because think about that. The amount of people who, the biggest book release on the planet happens and everybody is talking about it. But then you still have those holdouts who are just like, I don't really like to read. I'm just going to wait for the movie.
Right.
And
so if his plan is that this story infects the mind and breaks it down for the old ones to come back, it's like, well, even if you're a dumb fucking asshole and you can't read this or won't, then you will shovel popcorn into your mouth while your psyche splinters and then tentacles go assumedly into either your chest cavity or butt cavity. Is it butt cavity? Is that what
it's butt cavity? That got me.
Guys, hashtag butt cavity.
My friend Danny, every time you give a hashtag, as soon as she listens to the episode, sends me whatever the hashtag is.
Don't
so this
send
one's
him.
for you.
Just, comment on our videos, Danny.
Yeah, do that.
Do that. I want to see hashtag butt cavity on these videos, guys. Well, no, just this one. Just this episode. Please don't do that for... I've said that now.
Don't make that our thing. That doesn't represent us.
No.
Don't make this... That doesn't represent us.
No.
Okay?
No.
In fact, Ty, just cut all this out.
See, you and I are laughing because we like those.
Yeah. And we solved our problem.
We did, yeah.
Because he's definitely going to do it. Dr. Wren goes to leave, and he has a little moment with whatever that guy's name is, Saperstein, whatever.
Probably Saperstein.
And he explains, that Trent basically thinks that he is fiction and that Sutter Cane is causing, like, his writing is causing all the riots in the streets right now.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is a moment that you always point out of that character whose name I cannot pronounce.
Saperstein.
Yeah. Saying the line, "Do you read Sutter Cane?"
Mm-hmm.
But it is stilted, even more so than the dude earlier.
Right.
And it...
Do you read Sutter Cane?
And I think he just has like his own eccentricities.
Yeah. He's his own thing.
Yeah.
But then there's also notably there's a radio that's like near the reception desk where they have kind of left out of the building of. And then a normal night goes by, except it isn't normal at all. Fucking Trent is like fucking God, like he is like fetal positioned himself in the corner of his padded cell, and there are lights flashing, and you hear the horrible like flesh ripping and like these horrible animalistic noises. Oh, really quickly, in the beginning of this, when he asks, "Do you think he's one of them?"
Mm-hmm.
One of them, I assume, is like they are talking about an epidemic of the mentally insane. And is that an example of that? Because here, the question that I always have during this night of cacophonous horror that he survives, but is just like waiting for something to break down the door the whole time. Do you think it's actually the great old ones, or do you think it is just human beings have come through and just destroyed it all?
Oh, yeah. No, I take it as people are tearing themselves apart.
Yeah.
Like
so do I.
The ones who have read it versus the ones who haven't yet.
Mm-hmm.
As more and more people read it, they're losing their minds, and they just eventually are I don't know, drawn to violence.
Yeah, I agree with that, especially because the next day, his door is now able to be opened. He opens his cell door. He walks outside. Carnage and bloodshed is everywhere.
And pages of books.
So he then
littering the ground.
He then walks outside and he goes out, and there are just thousands, tens of thousands of pages all over the grass, all over the lawn, clearly from this novel. He makes his way back into the town square where where he was first attacked, a little bit down the road. Now, I don't know if it's supposed to be the same place in the film, but we know that because we watched a little behind the scenes thing that is like right down the street. He goes into this movie theater, and In the Mouth of Madness is playing, and it's just footage from the movie we just saw.
Yes.
Starring Sam Neill.
I love, as he's going in, there's the poster outside, and it's like, it's a movie poster, and it's got his face on it.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that. But you were going through life, and you find a poster for a movie that's like, oh yeah, the new movie. Am I in this?
This is me.
Is this about me?
But the question is it Sam Neill in this world? Is it Sam Neill? And John Trent is a character played by Sam Neill.
So if you look closely at that poster, most of the information, you know how on a movie poster down at the bottom there's always the information.
Yeah.
In this, if you get a high enough definition version of it, you can read on some of that. And it's all the names of like all the production people who actually worked on this film, In the Mouth of Madness. It's all just them.
Okay.
except for the main characters. Instead of being Sam Neill, it's John Trent. Instead of being it's Styles, it's whatever. It's like the characters' names, not the actors' names.
See, I'm almost disappointed in knowing that, because I always just assumed that the character John Trent in the film In the Mouth of Madness, as created by the publishing house and their connection to Hollywood, was played by Sam Neill. But yeah, then another very famous, probably the most famous visual of this is he covered in crosses in a mental hospital
gown,
hospital
gown,
is staring up at the TV, staring up at the movie theater screen, eating popcorn.
Yeah, he's got a big. I mean, who was there to stop him?
And as all of the things we've already seen play out, like including him being in the asylum he just left, he is like lost in just, he starts to laugh, and that laughter leads him to weep, and then that weeping brings him back to laughter, and it's like, oh, he fucking lost it. Like, he was able to stay online for so long, but this is it. He's gone.
Yeah. Which also, in a weird way, the way that this ends, and I'm just thinking about this now, I'm just kind of making the connection, and I think that's why I like this movie so much. It also reminds me of the end of Halloween 3, where it's like he has figured it out. And he comes back, he tries to get back to society to save the day and to put an end to this. And he is pleading with the cable company, turn these channels off. Please, you've got to stop this. The world is going to end if you don't, in mere moments. And we're just left with like, it just happens.
Yeah.
We couldn't stop it in time. And it didn't matter what John Trent did in this. The way it was written is the way that it had to play out.
Well, and that's what I like, is the whole movie from the beginning, the entire tone and theme of this movie is what is and what isn't real, and how much does your perspective matter. And at the end of the day, the reason he couldn't stop anything and the reason he couldn't prevent anything is because he wasn't real.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I didn't see that coming. Just tremendous storytelling wall to wall. I normally don't like and people who listen to our show know this, I typically don't love the like 7 days later or like those kind of flashbacky things. But to start this movie with the end of this movie without explaining a goddamn part of that is so brilliant, because it is that kind of movie that requires you to play with time, to play with reality. And so them doing it, I think is great. Final question on the narrative of this story. At the end, when John is watching the movie, do you think he's gone insane because it is the last straw? The straw that broke the camel's back. He cannot take any more nonsense. And so seeing himself live out his own memories in a theater screen as the world ends outside, that drives him over the brink? Or is it because the story of In the Mouth of Madness drives those that watch it insane?
Oh, that's wonderful.
Because it's probably both.
Yeah. I don't have an answer for that. That is a wonderful observation.
Yeah. And also, where are all the old skelety, dusty people and the giant swirly thing? Because isn't this Calcibar and this is Halloween Town? Or is it a different haunted movie theater?
It's a different haunted movie theater. Oh, man. There is somebody on this cast, I'm pretty sure, who is in Halloween Town or Halloween Town 2, and I didn't write it down. But I remember picking that up somewhere.
You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say that's close enough. Good job.
Thank you.
Derek, do you recommend The Mouth of Madness?
I really do.
Yeah.
This one took me a long time to finally, get around to watching. And it is the first of this Apocalypse trilogy that we're talking about. It's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Like from end to end. It does so much. And as I'm sure listeners kind of understand at this point, you've heard us talk about enough movies that you kind of get things that I like in movies. But it picks on a lot of those things.
Yeah.
The Lovecraftian, cosmic, like the old ones, that sort of horror I really enjoy. The meta of it all, the self-referential, but then also referential to things that I know and love in the real world, like Stephen King. All of that is like, it tickles my brain in the best ways. And then you throw Sam Neill in the middle of it, and it's just really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah. If I haven't already said, I absolutely recommend this movie. It is the letterboxed requiring you to only have 4 in your top is what pushed this out of the 5th place.
Fair.
It would be listed there if there could be 5. It is an incredible movie. It's been a big part of my life for a long time. And it's little things like, do I think that him finding out where Hobbs End is and following the mystery by cutting book covers apart and taping them back together, do I think that's particularly clever? No, I think that's really stupid. But he is living the story of a book that is written by a, popular horror writer,
novelist. Yeah.
Right. So then immediately, if that's the reality that's being created, it makes sense. And they knew that. And that's why they do stuff like that. And it's just, it's so good. And I could go on about the effects work, which we didn't even really get too much of a chance to talk about.
No.
But the big standouts of this movie, I think, are the set pieces, the locations and the set pieces. I think another standout from this movie is the general, like, what the score, those set pieces, and what the general storytelling do for the, like, tone, the vibe of it. It's just so odd. And as the film goes on, it gets more and more ethereal and bizarre. And then the best part of this movie is Sam Neill.
Yes.
I cannot give him enough credit for the performance in this. It is charming and witty and strong and confident, and then immediately it is weak and cowardly and broken and crippled, and it is just every, what is it that Adam Driver says? I did a lot of yelling and I kissed someone and I smiled, all the emotions, and he does all of them. He's great.
Yes. Sam Neill is one of my favorites. Anytime I see him in anything, there's a couple movies that I don't think you've seen. One of which I think slots in next year, hopefully, called Event Horizon from 1997. I love that movie.
It's a movie my brother recommended.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then he was there's a vampire movie from 2009 called Daybreakers, which I also really love.
Oh, you've told me about that movie. Yeah.
That one, it's a weird movie, and I don't know if it gets a lot of love, but it's one that I saw in theaters, and I really enjoyed it a lot. I love the idea of what that movie brings up.
I have an opinion about the Exorcist trilogy that I know you share, which is 1 good, 2 bad, 3 criminally underrated. Same thing with Omen. 1 good, 2 3 really good. And what's funny is that 3 is really good, and a lot of it's being good is because of Brad Dourif's performance in that movie. Yeah. Same thing with Omen, but that's Sam Neill. For those of you who don't know, in that movie, Sam Neill plays a little character called the Devil, and it's awesome.
He gives a monologue in that movie that's insane.
It is insane. So that's your homework. Now that you've seen this movie, hopefully, you have to watch Prince of Darkness to get ready for next week, but also watch The Omen 3.
Yeah. We'll get to it eventually.
Yeah. Watch The Omen 3 eventually, or I'll write a story where you kick yourself right in the ball bag.
Do you read Beans Morocco?
Thanks for tuning into the Third Channel podcast. Please, if you have the time, rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcast apps.
You can follow us on social media at Third Channel Podcast, and you can find me online at @DRosenberg.
You can also reach out to us at thirdchannelpodcast@gmail.com, where we check every message we swear. Third Channel is hosted by PJ Minette
and Derek Rosenberg. Theme song and audio engineering by Fly Guy Ty.
The logo designed by Bell DeVelco.
Episode artwork by Nathan Walkington.
Keep it tuned right here to the Third Channel for all things horror. And remember, don't touch that dial.
Egg salad and eggs.